You are listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela
and Marchelle,
episode number 154.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome to the podcast this week. And happy Valentine's Day to all the lovebirds out there.
There's something that's hi everybody. Hi Angela, how you doing?
I'm good.
There was something super cute that I learned at the clinic last week. So one of our patients, she has a bunch of single friends. Yeah. And so instead of doing Valentine's Day, they do Galentine's Day. And so all the girlfriends get together and get stuff for each other. And so I just thought that was so neat. Wow, I loved it.
Galentine's. That's very cute play on words. I love that.
Yeah, right.
And it sounds like a great time too for all the gals.
So you don't have to be in a relationship to enjoy Love Day.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, I remember hearing about that. It sounds like a really great way to, just celebrate this day of love and acknowledge that romantic love is not the only form of love, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, before I get into today's topic, I want to just mention last week's topic, which was all about bias in the medical world. And we put up links to this podcast in our free Facebook group, Sugar and Flour Busters Society. And so I asked people, to just, if you've had any experiences where you've had bias against medical professionals, let us know in the comments what you've experienced. And I just want to thank all of those who were brave enough to share. We had a lot of comments about the types of biases that people have experienced and how oftentimes healthcare professionals just blame everything on the weight, and they just say diet and exercise. And they don't understand that the diet and the exercise has been done, that there's something else going on. And
we got to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah. And so again, that's why it's so great that, did you know that there are now 8,000 people who are board certified in obesity medicine?
I did not know that. That's fantastic.
Yeah. They just had another exam and got more people certified. So when I first started back in 2007, I think there might have been 300 people who were board certified in obesity medicine. So now we have a whole bunch of people who are available and who understand obesity and who are working from an unbiased perspective. And so I just want all our listeners to know that there are people out there who are not going to just tell you, hey, this is all your fault. Like, stop eating so much and exercise, and that's going to solve all your problems. So if you need any help with this disease and you're looking for a specialist in obesity, just go to AB, that's B as in boy, OM as in mother, .org. So that's the American Board of Obesity Medicine. And there's a link there that says, find a physician and verify credentials. And you can just click on that link, type in your city or your zip code, and you'll get a list of people who are near you who are actually board certified in obesity medicine and understand what you're going through. So that's one resource for people. Again, it's just really hard to hear the stories of how much bias there is. And we get it, right? We get it.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody that shared, for being brave and, and sharing with us, because we need to bring awareness to these topics.
We really do.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what are we going to talk about this week? So this is another topic that was brought up by a patient of ours. So she is actually finished with the weight loss part of her journey. So she is now working at maintenance. So she's at a normal body fat percentage. She's gotten her visceral fat down nice and low. She works out regularly. I think she even is a CrossFit coach or a CrossFit teacher. So she's in great shape. She's feeling healthy. She looks great. She's really happy with where she's at. And she's maintaining very nicely. And this is all really, really great news for her. But when she came in for her last visit, she said, everything's perfect. And yet somehow I'm not satisfied. I still want to lose more. She's like, can you guys talk about why that is? Because I don't understand. Why am I compelled to want to lose more? Okay. And I think that's a really great question because we do see this a lot. It's as if we have these brains that can never be satisfied with everything we've accomplished. So what's going on here? Have you ever experienced anything like this, Marchelle?
That is a great question. And yes, I have been actually experiencing that since I've been in maintenance for about how long I've been about 3 years now.
Yeah.
And this goes on in my head so much that it drives me crazy sometimes. I just don't understand. Like I thought that I would get to this weight, that when we talked about this in the podcast before, you get to this weight, you think like everything's going to be perfect if I just get to this, whatever number it is.
Yeah.
And then you get to that number and it's like the world doesn't turn into rainbows, and it's like, wait a minute, this is such a great topic. I'm so glad that we're talking about this. So so let's get into it.
So I've got a couple of thoughts that I want to share with our listeners because this exact same thing happened to me all those years ago when I was dieting for that crazy figure competition that I did. It was like nothing I did was ever enough.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this is actually going to sound pretty deep, what I'm about to say. But here's what I discovered from my own experience. I was trying to fix an underlying sense of shame with my dieting. Okay. I think most of us feel a lot more shame than we realize. And some of the shame comes from our primitive brains because self-criticism is a survival instinct in the primitive brain. It's the primitive fight-flight response turned inward on us. So when we feel threatened by something outside of ourselves that we can't control, we have a tendency to blame ourselves and to feel shame for it. And this is normal, and it's something that we need to understand. So a lot of us are walking around with this primitive brain that is criticizing us all the time. And so then we're feeling all of this shame. But I think another reason a lot of us feel so much shame is because we're socialized to be good, especially young girls, really socialized that we need to be good little girls, that being pretty is important. And we feel ashamed if we don't measure up to these external expectations. So we may have actually had parents or other caregivers who shamed us. So many of us really have a lot of shame we're carrying around with us on a daily basis. And so if this is triggering for some of you as I talk about it, just recognize you're not alone in this, right?
Definitely not alone. Nope.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we decide, we have this tendency to say, okay, the shame is because I'm struggling with my weight. And so I'm going to go on a diet and I'm going to fix this. And we lose weight, but that doesn't get rid of the shame, right? It might get rid of the shame of being overweight, but there's still so much of that shame that's still there. So then we're like, okay, I guess I just need to keep going and I need to lose more weight, right?
This is a crazy way of thinking.
It is, but this is what my brain went through. And I'm pretty sure that I'm not alone in this. So we decide that, okay, I'm going to try to lose more weight. But of course, the cure to shame is not weight loss. The cure to shame is to correct the underlying misunderstanding that's creating the shame in the first place. And this is a lot of what we do in the Empowered Weight Loss membership. So that's one reason that we might not feel satisfied even when we meet all of our weight loss goals, is that we're trying to fix an underlying sense of shame that can't be fixed with weight loss. So I suggested to this particular woman that she do some journaling just to see if she could find out what losing 5 more pounds would mean for her and see if she could uncover any underlying motivations. So that's what I suggested to her. And she was like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. I'll see what comes up.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Yep. So that's one thing that might be going on. Another reason that we can sometimes not be satisfied with our weight loss is something called the arrival fallacy, which is a little bit of what you were hinting at earlier. We discussed it I looked it up. It's podcast number 140. where we talked about the arrival fallacy. So the arrival fallacy is this mistaken belief we have that achieving a specific goal, like reaching your goal weight, is going to bring everlasting happiness and fulfillment, right? Like everything's going to be perfect. So it's this idea that everything is magically going to fall into place once you've arrived at your goal weight. Okay. And I'm using the arrival fallacy in terms of the weight loss, but you can use the arrival fallacy for all different kinds of goals. So once you have arrived at your goal, whatever it might be, oftentimes the reality is not what you think it was going to be. And that can be disappointing. And so your problems are not all magically solved. And sometimes there are new problems to deal with. So
yeah, that's what happened to me. Like once I got there and then, all of my problems weren't solved, or I just, didn't feel what I thought I was going to feel about myself. Then I thought, okay, well, maybe it just wasn't enough. Like I just need to do 5 more. And maybe that's what's going to make everything okay. And I just got caught up in that. So I definitely understand, like the vicious cycle of this kind of thinking.
Yeah. So those are 2 things that could be going on from a psychological perspective. The other thing that might be happening is it's really fun to shoot for a goal, right? Goals give us meaning and purpose. They give us a reason to get up in the morning. So once we arrive at our goal, our brains are like, now what? What are we going to do now? So sometimes we don't want to let go and we decide, okay, let's just keep working at this. Let's just go for 5 more pounds, right?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, right.
So it might not be shame-based at all. It might just be like this identity that we have that, I'm striving for this goal, right? So here's the thing about weight loss. We actually do need to still keep working at this, or we risk regaining the weight. We do need to put plans and processes in place for what we'll do to keep the weight off, right? Because oftentimes keeping it off is harder than losing it in the first place. But when we're working at keeping it off, we don't get that constant feedback that things are changing, that our clothes are getting looser, that we're getting healthier. Healthier just becomes our new normal, and there's no more novelty anymore. And I think this is actually really hard for people. And the reason why they're often not satisfied, even when they know they're healthy. The fun of setting and achieving goals is not there anymore. And now it's just doing what you need to do to keep the weight off. And it feels boring and it feels routine. And the brain is not liking that. The brain's always looking for novelty and achievement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Yeah. So that's another reason why, like, 5 more pounds. Let's see what we can do here. Like, I still need to be working at this goal. There's one more thing that I thought of that could be going on. If you've reached a healthy weight and you're happy with where you're at, but you find yourself still wanting to lose another 5 or 10 pounds. We see this a lot. People will say, I want some wiggle room. Have you ever thought that, Marchelle?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I want some wiggle room. I want to get down low enough that I can splurge on vacation and not have to worry about gaining 5 pounds back. I want to be in a place where even if I gain 5 pounds, I'll still look great and I won't have to worry about it.
I've totally done this.
Totally. And you know what this is. This is pure primitive brain talk. This is the primitive brain still wanting to get its dopamine hits from foods. We all know what happens after these kinds of vacations. A few vacation splurges and the dragon gets released again, and it can be very hard to get back on track. Marchelle's discovered this a few times that you've talked about on the podcast, right?
Yeah, I was just dealing with it. That's why I had to do the 5-day sugar and flour detox again, is because I was dealing with the aftermath of vacation and thinking that I can, 5 pounds and, I can let myself splurge and so makes a lot of sense.
I've done it too. I have done it many times. So just when you hear these thoughts coming from your brain, just recognize it's just your primitive brain wanting its pleasure hit. It's okay. Nothing wrong. We just have to redirect. Like I do this by reminding myself that processed food like cake and cookies and chips are just really toxic and unhealthy things. I don't want to indulge in these things because I see them in the same way I see cigarettes. Like if I'm on vacation and I think I might want to have a treat, I wait until the very last day of the vacation so I don't have to deal with cravings for the entire trip. That is not a fun trip to have to deal with constant cravings and to wake up feeling like crap every morning. That's no fun.
No, I love that concept of waiting until the last day.
Yeah.
That has really helped me on several vacations.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's super helpful.
Yeah.
You just have to still you can still wake up that dragon even one day of splurging. I mean, don't fool yourself because it can happen. But I really like, because you have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And then, then you can not overdo it.
You're back on
track. And then
track.
You're back home.
You're back home. You go to the grocery store. Yeah. You get your good whole food, and you're back on track as soon as you can as soon as you get home. All right. So when you're at a healthy weight and you keep thinking you still want to lose another 5 or 10 pounds, I would encourage you to do some journaling and ask yourself, what would losing another 5 or 10 pounds do? Why would it matter? And keep asking why. So let's say you come up with this reason. I'll feel better about myself. Why? Okay. Just keep asking why. What does it matter? Ask yourself those questions each time you come up with a reason till you get to the root. Okay. So you keep asking why until you get to the root. The root cause is going to be different for everyone. Like, it's not all the same. We've discussed some of the common themes that we've experienced personally and what we've seen in our patients and online clients, but you might discover something totally different for you. So if you discover something more unique than what we've talked about, go to our Facebook group, Sugar and Flour Busters Society, and go to this podcast post and let us know what you discovered. Okay. This way, you can help other people figure this out for themselves too. Okay. So you'll see a post in Sugar and Flour Busters Society where we have links to the podcast, and you can put a comment in under that post. Okay. Marchelle, did I miss anything? Is there anything that you thought of as you were thinking about this?
No, I think that we covered. I think this is really good.
Okay.
It was very helpful for me even.
Yeah. Well, there's just so much to this weight loss journey. There's so much to it.
It's never ending.
Yeah. And, as always, if you want in-depth help with your weight loss journey, including a deep understanding of all of the medical aspects of obesity as a disease, learning how to stop thinking in ways that are going to derail you, and you want an awesome community of supportive women from all over the country, please join us in the Empowered Weight Loss membership. We're here for you every step of the way. Just go to journeybeyondweightloss.com/yes, and we'll see you on the inside. Okay, that's what we have for you this week. Take care, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.